Hello, welcome to part 2 of my Canon Rock tutorial. This week we'll be going over the first verse guitar solo, and let's just get right into it. Here's the section at full speed. Alright, for this lesson, I'm going to be breaking it up into a series of 8-bar phrases. That's one through the chord progression. It should make it more manageable and easier to learn. So here's the first 8 bars, slowed down a bit. This section is going to start with a slide up to the 19th fret of the B string, just like the intro. You're going to hold that for a whole note, and then you're going to go down and pick the 17th fret of the B string for about a half note and slide down. Then you're going to slide back up to the 15th fret of the B string. You're going to hold that, and then on the end of 3, for a quarter note, you're going to bend up a whole step to the E note, and then release the bend for an 8th note and land on the 14th fret of the B string for a half note. So that first little bit's going to sound like this. Now to finish out that measure, we got 2 quarter notes, starting with the 14th fret of the G string, then the 12th fret of the D string. Then you're going to bend the 14th fret of the G string up a whole step to the B note, and on the end of 3, you're going to release the bend. I like to pick it a little before I release the bend. You get a little flavor. And then on the end of 4, you're going to hit the 12th fret of the G string. And then you're going to land on the next measure, you're going to land on the 14th fret of the G string for a quarter note. Another quarter note at the 15th fret of the B string. And then a half note at the 11th fret of the G string. And then you're going to bend the 14th fret of the G string up a whole step again. And this time, it's just going to be for a half note. And then the second half of that measure is quarter note triplets, re-strumming your bent note, releasing the bend, and then hitting the 12th fret of the G string. So, and now for the last measure, you're going to bend up for a half note the 14th fret of the B string, a half step to the D note, release the bend for a quarter note, then pick the 17th fret, or the 15th fret, excuse me, and slide up to the 17th fret as 8th notes. So that whole section up to speed sounds like this. Alright, the second 8 bars is going to sound like this, slowed down. Alright, so it's going to start off on an F sharp again, only this time at the 14th fret of the high E string. You're going to hold that for a dotted half note, and then on beat 4, you're going to pick the 15th fret of the E string, and then pull off to the 14th fret, and you're going to land at the 17th fret of the B string, and you're going to hold that for a whole note. And now for another dotted half note, you're going to hit the 15th fret of the B string. And then on beat 4, you're going to hit the 17th fret of the B string and pull off to the 15th fret. And you're going to land on beat 1 of the quarter note at the 14th fret of the B string. And for another quarter note, you're going to go up to the 14th fret of the E string. And for a half note to finish the measure, you're going to land on the 17th fret of the E string. Now it'll be quarter notes for the rest, pretty much the rest of this phrase, and on the E string also. It's going to start at the 19th fret, then 17, then 15, back up to 19. Now you're going to do that same pattern down a shape. So it's going to be 17, 15, 14, 17. And now it's going to do the previous pattern one more time. So 19, 17, 15, 19. And now the whole phrase ends with a big bend from a big whole step bend from the 19th fret. And then you can just slide that down at the end of the measure. So this section up to speed sounds like this. And between those shapes, you can slide between them there at the end. So you can slide that 17 to the 19th fret. All right, so this is part 3. It's pretty much the second half of the verse, and it's going to be in a little lower register, a different position, and this is what it's going to sound like a little slower. All right, so that's going to start on the 7th fret of the G string. And after you slide down from the high note, you can slide up into that note. So it's for quarter notes, it's going to be 7th fret of the G string, 6th fret of the G string, 7th fret of the G string, 9th fret of the A string. You're going to land on a half note at the 7th fret of the D string. Now 2 more quarter notes. Raising up the scale, you got 9th fret of the D string, 6th fret of the G string. Now it's a pretty similar measure again. You got a 7th fret of the G string. You're going to do 2 8th notes this time, palm muted at the 6th fret of the G string. And you're going to hit the 7th fret again. And this time you're going to go up to the 7th fret of the B string. And you're going to hit the 10th fret of the B string for a whole note. But the catch with this one is that it's going to sound like 8th notes. You're going to bend up a whole step to the B note, back down to the A, up to the B again, and then hold it unbent at the A note. So it's almost like a really wide vibrato, and it's in rhythm. So... And then for a quarter note, you're going to come down here, 8th fret of the B string. And you're going to pick the 7th fret of the B string, and these are going to be 8th note triplets, and you're going to hammer on to the 8th fret of the B string and pull back off to the 7th fret of the B string. You're then going to pick the 9th fret of the G string, and then the 8th fret of the B string in quarter notes. Then you're going to pull off to the 7th fret of the B string for an 8th note. Pick the 9th fret of the G string. Pull off to the 7th fret of the G string. Then you're going to pick the 9th fret and the 7th fret of the D string. Those are all 8th notes. It might be a little weird because the way I like to play it is I don't pick the downbeat of that measure. I pick the 8 on the B string and pull off to the downbeat on that note right there. But you can pick that if you like. a lot of this is up. A lot of the picking and a lot of the ways to play this are really up to the player. Now for quarter notes, moving on, we have 9th fret of the D string, 7th fret of the D string, 5th fret of the D string, then 7th fret of the G string. Now here you're going to hit a pinch harmonic at the 6th fret of the G string, and you're going to do a quick little half step bend on that. And then and then you're gonna go on to this little run with 8 notes. 7th fret of the D string, 7th fret of the A string, 5th fret of the A string, slide down to the 4th fret of the A string, and then land on the 5th fret of the E string. So that little section is gonna sound like this. If you don't hit the pinch harmonic, that's all right. All right, so here's the last section of this guitar solo, slowed down a bit. All right, so that section starts out the exact same way as the section before. Quarter notes sliding into the 7th fret on the G string, down to 6, back up to 7, down to 9th fret on the A string, landing with a half note at the 7th fret of the D string, then ascending with quarter notes, 9th fret on the D string, 6th fret on the G string. So that is the exact same as the previous section. Now here's where it gets different. It does a little sweep pattern. You can alternate pick it. You can play it however it's comfortable for you. I personally alternate pick this, but it's 1 note per string. 7th fret of the G string, 7th fret of the B string, 7th fret of the E string, 10th fret of the E string. And now I like to pick the 10th fret again, slide up to the 14th fret of the E string, pull off to the 10th fret, hit the 12th fret of the B string, and then hit the 11th fret of the G string. So that's all 8th notes. And for that first section, you're really going to want to work on rolling your first finger across those 3 strings. Using only 1 finger for that makes it a lot easier, but it's going to take a little work to get that clean. And then I land on the 12th fret of the B string, and then at the end of 2, I like flick between the 10th fret and the 12th fret. I do 2 little 16th notes. I hit the 10th fret, hammer on to the 12th, and then I pick the 10 again and hold that for a half note. And then it does another familiar lick. Quarter note at the 8th fret of the B string. 7th fret of the B string picked, hammer on to the 12, and pull back off to the 7th as 8th note triplets. Now it's going to pick the 9th fret of the G string, and the 8th fret of the B string as quarter notes. And now this is where it differs again. You're going to hit the 7th fret you're going to pick the 7th fret of the B string, slide up to the 10th fret, pick the 10th fret of the E string, and the 14th fret of the E string, all quarter notes. Now a big 8th note run, starting at the 15th fret of the E string, all alternate picked, to the 14, 12, and then on the B string, 15, 14, 12, and on G string, 14, 12, still on the G string, 18, 16, 14, D string, 17, 16, 14, slide down to the 7th fret of the D string. And you're going to hold that for a quarter note. Now we get on to the sweep picking part. So this part is one of actually the hardest parts of the entire song, and extremely intimidating for, new players learning this song. And I'll teach it the way I play it. Almost every guitarist plays something different. Honestly, if you want to play this song, you've got 2 measures to just do a little guitar fill into the chorus of the song. You can come up with literally anything you like. It's over an 8 chord. But here's what I like to play. It's pretty close to what Jerry C and Fun 2 do. So it's this big sweeping pattern. And they're all very common sweeping shapes if you do have the sweeping experience or you are learning currently. It's going to start at the 7th fret of the A string. This is a big A major arpeggio. So start the 5, hammer on to the 12th fret of the A string, downstroke, 11th fret of the D string, downstroke 9th fret of the G string, downstroke 10th fret of the B string, downstroke 9th fret of the E string, upstroke at the 12th fret of the E string, and slide that up to the 17th fret of the E string. Pull off to the 12th fret of the E string. Now upstroke on the 14th fret of the B and G string. Upstroke on the 12th fret of the B string. Downstroke, and downstroke on the 12th fret of the E string. And actually on those notes, you can do whatever sweep pattern is more comfortable for you. I like to do downstrokes all the way down and then come back up with the downstrokes or upstrokes and then downstrokes. You can do, it's also common to do skip over the bottom string and do all 3 as downstrokes. So whatever way to pick it is most comfortable for you, you can pick this. Now you're gonna pick with an upstroke the 17th fret of the E string and slide it up to the 21st fret. And you're gonna pull back off to the 17. Then pick the 17th fret of the B string and the 18th fret of the B string. You're gonna go all the way back up to the 21st fret of the E string and slide that down to the 17th fret of the E string. Pull off to the 12, and then all upstrokes. 14 on the B, 14 on the G, 14 on the D, 16 on the A, and then with a downstroke on the 12th fret of the A. And so it's got some weird, I like to do some weird slides in there. And so this is what it's going to sound like, extremely, extremely slowed down. All right, so I'll play the whole section now, all 4 parts at a little slower tempo. Now remember, this song is at 200 beats a minute. I highly encourage you to use a metronome. Slow it down to as low, wherever you can feel comfortable playing the whole thing. And you can go section by section just like I did. And just maybe start at 100 beats per minute and just go up by 5 beats and just learn the whole song with good technique, something that feels proper to you. You can use whatever picking patterns you would like if it feels comfortable for you. If you get the right notes and it's played cleanly, I think you can be able to play it however you'd like. So thanks for watching this. Thanks for watching. Comment if you like. give me some tips, subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.